following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
From wherever we decide studios, broadcasted live on iTunes, Spreaker, and worldwide, this is the Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast with your host, the producer, Pat G. The G stands for gangsta. And now kick back and get ready for the eargasms.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new year of Turnbuckle Talk Radio. 2020 is here, and we are live and in color. Brought to you by Gear Network, of course, TTRP, Pat G, Dan Fury, bringing you all the latest and greatest in the wrestling world, and holy mother of God, what a start to the year.
Oh my God, 2020 starting off with a bang. We got comets flying through the air. We got, Naito pulling out some amazing... It was an unbelievable kickoff to the wrestling year. Just happened this weekend in the Tokyo Dome. Holy God.
Yes, and of course, every New Year's, New Japan Pro Wrestling presents Wrestle Kingdom for the last 14 years. This year, they, instead of just doing it all on New Year's Day, or so to speak, they split it between two nights. Instead of just being January 4th, this edition, Wrestle Kingdom 14, was January 4th and 5th. And thank God that it was, because by the time you were halfway through the card on Wrestle Kingdom Night 1, you were just like, how much longer we got?
Oh my God. It was unbelievable, to say the least. And I mean, both nights were packed with wrestling action. January
absolutely.
the 4th, and these matches had implications to the next night.
Yes.
Which was the best part about it, because for the first time ever, you had the double gold.
Yes, you had the double gold. And not to mention that you also had the potential of extra double gold, because if Juice Robinson and his teammate were able to capture the tag titles, Juice Robinson would be facing for the U.S. Championship the next night, which would allow him to become a double champion as well.
It was, to say the least, there were a lot of people on both nights that really shined. Like, I can't even begin to get into it. And I mean, any fans of professional wrestling, New Japan World, obviously the viewership spiked a couple years ago when there was the Alpha versus Omega, Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega dream match that took place at Wrestle Kingdom 12. But also that night saw, Okada versus Naito.
Yes.
For the New Japan Heavyweight Championship, and it was billed, that was the original main event, and then it ended up getting billed as a double main event, once Kenny Omega's United States Championship was up on the line. Fast forward 2 years, the Bullet Club was kind of a background story. It wasn't as predominant. The Elite, there was no Elite, so to speak, at all represented. And this show relied heavily on the talent that had been built over the last couple of years, Jay White in particular, and Will Ospreay, who has had an amazing run in New Japan, and it has really stepped up his game. But each night gave you some amazing, tag matches, 8-man tag matches, a lot of tag matches in the first night, okay?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And not to mention, this Wrestle Kingdom 14 was the last 2 matches of the storied career of Jushin Thunder Liger.
Oh, my God. Yeah, so it's so weird to be saying that Jushin Thunder Liger, after a 30-plus year career, is done. I mean, he was defeated both nights. He went out on his back.
Yep.
In his last match on night 2, which was the first match of the official card.
Yes.
Which we'll get into in a little bit. We'll start talking about some of our favorite matches and whatnot. But you look at this overall show, it showcased the hell out of the talent that they had. And for the first time in years, I mean, it was an elite-less card, so a lot was riding on it. And like you said, this was an interesting concept. First off, you have 2 nights of pro wrestling. And over the last couple of years, there's been rumors every couple of years, especially now with the WWE Network and the fact that WrestleMania is, 7.5, 8 hours long?
Yes, and on Twitter, a lot of people were on the second night. It didn't really flare up on the first night. On the second night of Wrestle Kingdom, probably halfway through, I believe, before you got to the main matches and everything, there was on Twitter, there was a lot of people wondering if this isn't something that WWE might be willing to look into, because for WrestleMania, and split WrestleMania up between 2 nights, because that way it splits the card. You can run storylines that will encase both nights, aka the Double Dash for Gold and whatnot, and go from there. But this is the thing, it's like I said, watching Wrestle Kingdom Night 1, before you even got to the main 3 matches of the night, which were the title matches, and then the 2 matches encasing the double chase for gold, you were just like, your mind was blown at some of the matches.
Yeah, I mean, so just to go over night 1, here is some of the phenomenal talent that you had on night 1. Okay, and this isn't even championship matches, okay? This is just straight up, you had Jushin Thunder Liger, the Great Sasuke, Tiger Mask, okay, in the first match, okay? Second match was Zack Sabre Jr., Minoru Suzuki, El Desperado, Taichi versus the LIJ, which, was friggin' awesome. Bullet Club versus Chaos.
Yep.
Okay, and Bullet Club featuring Kenta and Bad Luck Fale. All right. You had Juice Robinson and David Finlay against the
G.O.D.
The G.O.D., the Guerrillas of Destiny. That was the tag team matches. The first 4 matches of the show was 3 8-man tags and the tag team championship match in which Juice won the championships. So Juice Robinson walks out of Wrestle Kingdom 14 with a championship belt after leaving WWE/NXT several years earlier in order to find his niche. And dude is delivering.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He absolutely is. And also, before the feed was even on New Japan World and Fight TV, you had the Women of Stardom team match, or 6-woman tag or 8-woman tag or something like that, showcasing their talent.
Yeah, and this is the thing. and we can talk about this obviously later and get into, the Wrestle Kingdom 14 format versus the WWE WrestleMania current format as we know it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You would see all of these 8-man tag matches would almost be what you would consider your Andre the Giant battle, your Memorial Battle Royal match.
Your quote unquote filler matches.
Your filler matches. You're like 8-man tags. You're like your 4-corner tag team matches that didn't have the championship.
The women's battle royal.
Yeah, you'd have the Mae Young Classic. You're not Mae Young Classic. The Mae Young.
The Moolah battle that they
changed. Thank you. Full disclosure to our audience, my work schedule now has me waking up at 2:30 in the morning, and we are recording this podcast at 6:30 at night. You are getting me at my absolute finest, so if I slip up, I apologize.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. And then we talked about this superstar, this professional wrestler a week ago on our 2019 closeout, and guys that reinvented themselves. Let's talk about Mox.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about the fact that Lance Archer walked in champion, United States champion, Wrestle Kingdom Night 1. He didn't walk out because his ass got knocked out by Jon Moxley, who then challenged Juice Robinson for Night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom,
and
after having a hellacious Texas death match.
Yeah, and he said I came to Japan where I was going to walk out with everything or walk out with nothing.
And dude, let's just talk about Mox because he left this time last year. I saw a meme on Facebook on one of the pro wrestling groups that I believe you and I are both on or acquainted with or
yeah.
Last year, January 4th, Dean Ambrose was wearing a gas mask on WWE television, losing every week.
Yep.
1 year later, he's at Wrestle Kingdom 14, winning the United States Championship for a second time. And he's now he's the only star to have won the United States Championship in WWE and the United States Championship
in New Japan.
New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's the only. So give it up to Jon Moxley for risking it all, risking good money and a spot on national television over what he thought when he was injured he wanted to do. And he's a double promotion star.
Yeah. Because
he's still a prime star on AEW, and he is now New Japan United States champion.
Yep.
After Night 1 of Wrestle Kingdom.
Absolutely. And then on top of it, you got to look at the matches that happened after that. The IWGP, Takahashi and Will Ospreay.
How did you feel watching this match? As a fan of professional wrestling, Pat G, how did you feel watching Will Ospreay and Takahashi go at it?
It was, yes, were they doing what is known as the flippity-doo-dahs and everything? Yes. But there was a story to it. There was psychology to it. And that spot that they did on the entranceway into the ring, oh my God. Just, it blew my mind.
Will Ospreay is a human highlight reel.
He is.
This was Night 1, and Will Ospreay had a match.
Yep.
We'll talk about Night 2 in a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. This was This was match number 6 on the aired card, but of course they had the pre-show matches. So it was match number 9. And Will Ospreay is quickly becoming one of those superstars, one of those professional wrestlers that you cannot keep your eyes off of, because the stuff that he does, the way that he, quote, sells, his facial expressions, the man is chiseled out of granite. He knows how to look at the camera and just or away from the camera. He knows how to work the camera. He knows how to, at this point in his career, tell movies in that ring. And the stuff that he's able to do physically, although it is a, like you said, a flippy-dippy style, if he can maintain this, he would be, for a long time, he would be one of the greatest high flyers to ever grace the ring, to the point where I would put him in the same category as a Rey Mysterio Jr.
Oh, absolutely.
Right next to him.
Absolutely. I've been on this kick of Will Ospreay is the best professional wrestler in the world right now that's not on American television.
Not only am I going to concur, I would hope and that he never makes it to the E.
I don't think he ever will.
No.
Honestly, my guaranteed bet as far as 2020, and we'll get into it, is if the relationship between New Japan and AEW manifests itself by the nod of Chris Jericho and Tony Khan and Cody Rhodes and everything, I would say you would see Ospreay in AEW more than you would see him in WWE, because if he gets to WWE, his whole thing is ruined.
It would be, and shout out to my girl Carol, who I was chatting with in the wee hours of the morning while watching, this incredible show. Ricochet's style is not the King Ricochet that we had seen on the Independents, and
he's not even Prince Puma.
Yeah, he is a dialed down version of himself, and I understand why, because he is now a brand, he is now a product, he now needs to think about longevity.
Yep.
And I mean, a couple, 2 years ago, the springboard to the outside where he was facing Velveteen Dream was one of the most retweeted, replayed, reshared moments in NXT. And I can guarantee you, management after that moment was like, you're not doing that shit again, because if you fucking blow your knee out, you're done.
Yep.
Rey Mysterio has had six knee surgeries.
Yeah,
including stem cell injections into his knees because of just his entrance of popping up from the ground.
Yep. And not to mention the years upon years of stuff that he was doing in Mexico and ECW and WCW.
Exactly. So you compound all of this wear and tear, and they're putting a lot behind Ricochet. I mean, the man has got good merchandise. They've always got him in a spotlighted feature match. His ring gear is some of the most talked about ring gear whenever they do a major show or not major show. And to me, looking at Ricochet and Will Ospreay, they would do the same to Ospreay, but the difference would be is that with Will Ospreay, I wouldn't want to see him dialed down because it would force him, I don't want to say to have to get big, but it would remind me of Dynamite Kid. Like, Dynamite used to fly around the ring when he was smaller and wiry.
Yep.
And then when he got to the Land of Giants, he got big and did like that waddle.
Yep. Especially with him tagging with Davey Boy, where Davey Boy was the bigger of the two. You had the speed power thing, but because WWF was the Land of Giants, Dynamite Kid had to bulk up.
Exactly, and it would look unnatural on someone like Will Ospreay, and I mean,
it would look unnatural on someone like Zack Sabre Jr.
Oh my God, I was going to get to that because of Zack Sabre Jr.'s match on night number 2. Zack Sabre Jr. is one of the finest technical wrestlers and he's wiry, he's thin, he looks like a dude who would get into a jiu-jitsu fight and would roll you into a pretzel, but then compare him next to AJ Styles. And he would look almost like, no offense, like Zach Gowen to Brock Lesnar at that point. And you're absolutely right. So someone like Will Ospreay I wouldn't want to see, and then you go into the next match, and to me, this is just me, okay? This began the double gold dash with Naito defeating Jay White for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship, which is a title that Naito had already kind of become synonymous with over the last couple years, especially with his feud with Jericho last year. Dude, Naito. The story that the commentators... A shout out to the commentating team for New Japan Pro Wrestling, Wrestle Kingdom 14. Guys, Kevin Kelly, Rocky Romero, they told a story both nights to make you root deep down inside on a Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 12 level for Naito to walk out with both championships.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the commentator team that did the English version for New Japan World, Kevin Kelly and Rocky Romero and the other two guys, they did an excellent, amazing job. Because, granted, there were moments of silence and everything to let you have the aura and everything, but for the most part, they did everything that they could to get the American audience caught up. Because, like we've said, the only real American stars you had that United States wrestling fans would know of would be the Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho. A lot of people in the United States that are just hey, what is this New Japan? Let me check it out, or whatever. They don't know Okada. They don't know Naito. They don't know a lot of these guys.
And it was Gino Gambino and Chris Charlton were the other two. So shout out to that. That four-man group. And by the way, the cool part about that was, and WWE has taken a little bit of shit for, having three-man commentating teams that kind of jumble over each other. The way that they did the commentary, with Kevin Kelly being the play-by-play guy, and Gino and Chris and Rocky really helping to fill in the gap of the story.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially during Naito, because they went out of their way to be like, 2 years ago, he lost to Okada in the double
main event
in the Dome. 25 years ago, he was buying tickets and he was sitting up in the cheap seats to watch, the January 4th show. And he started becoming I'm getting goosebumps, like basically giving you the Cliff Notes version of what they said.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because, the LIJ faithful over the last couple of years have really been behind Naito ever since his defeat by Okada at Wrestle Kingdom 12. And then last year he went to war with Chris Jericho at Wrestle Kingdom 13. And then this year, the double gold dash against Jay White, who I believe is one of the top 10 professional wrestlers on the planet today. Period. Bar none. Switchblade, Jay White, and Gato, one hell of a team together. With Gato being the hype man manager that he is.
Yeah.
And they told a really good story because Jay White just tore down Naito's knee the entire match. Just worked the knee, just grinded it down to a pace where Naito had to really adapt. And I mean, when he hit Destino and beat Jay White 1, 2, 3, it made me as a fan lose my shit, because I was one step closer in my mind, and like my fate, my timeline went with it, to seeing Naito Okada in another main event the next night. But then again, we still had to get to Kota Ibushi and Okada.
Yeah.
Get to that if we were going to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, it was just... Night one was amazing. And Kota Ibushi and Okada just... They just were like, yo, we're just going to go out here and do what we got to do. And they blew people's minds.
Yes, they did. In fact, if you want to compare times, the Okada match was approximately 7 minutes longer.
Naito and Jay White were 33:45, and Okada and Ibushi were 39:15.
Yeah, so it wasn't that far off. And to tell you how excited I was about Okada going into this. And mind you, Ibushi, American fans obviously saw him during the Cruiserweight Classic. There was a real want for him to join the roster. He didn't. He also did not jump ship to All Elite Wrestling, along with his Golden Lovers partner, Kenny Omega. He became the Golden Star instead in New Japan. And he won the opportunity at G1 in order to go and face, the champion, whoever that be, and it turned out to be Okada at Wrestle Kingdom 14, in the main event on January 4th. And then they came up with the double gold dash in order to kind of hype this even bigger so that you'd have a first on January 5th, because this is the first night they were going to split it up. And, right before, Kota did this turn where you could tell that Kota Ibushi's entire modus operandi was being the first.
Yeah.
He wanted that championship. He wanted to win his first heavyweight championship at Wrestle Kingdom, and then he wanted to become the first double gold champion the next night. And he went dark. He went, real evil on what he needed to do. Almost masochistic in some of the stuff that he was willing to dish out.
Oh, absolutely.
To Okada, who Okada has been the gold standard of New Japan Pro Wrestling for the last several years. So, to me, this was one hell of a brutal match, and they worked the necks. Oh my God. We both were cringing watching Okada and Ibushi just dropping each other on their heads and doing massive amounts of damage.
Speaking of dropping on people's head, holy mother of God, the freaking Time Bomb 2, as they called it.
Yes.
When I saw that, I was like, he dead. He dead.
Yep. There were moves that were busted out for this show and this match where, dude, Broseph, I'm just gonna tell you.
Okada reached deep into his moveset.
It was, not only was he giving you the classics, but he was also giving you stuff that you hadn't seen before in an Okada match, because that when you pay to see Okada, and I've seen him live, I saw him at Madison Square Garden last year, dude, he makes you feel professional wrestling.
Oh, he absolutely does.
And when Okada won the championship, retained his championship at Wrestle Kingdom 14, Night 1, and you had the stare down between he and Naito, and you knew what was coming for Night 2. Holy shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
You knew it was going to be a war.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this is the thing, is we're gonna get into Night 2 right after the break, because we've just pretty much encased Night 1 of New Japan Wrestle Kingdom. We're gonna talk about Night 2 after the break. So keep it locked. TTRP, Patchy, Dan Fury. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Pat G from the Turnbuckle Talk Radio podcast. And no, we're not talking pro wrestling today, but we are talking sports hoodies, NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, soccer, and much more. And this is brought to you by houseofhoodies.com, a new sponsor here at the TTRP. You can visit thehouseofhoodies.com and pick up your favorite team's merchandise. They have current players, former players, or you can customize your own hoodie, whether it be the NBA, NHL, MLB, and the NFL. After you're done shopping, use the promo code TTR Podcast and you will get 15% off your order. That's TTR Podcast for 15% off at thehouseofhoodies.com.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Do you like sports, interactive polls, friendly banter from two guys that probably shouldn't even be on the microphone doing this stuff anyways? Well, if you do, then you're in luck. Us two knuckleheads, Brandon and myself, comprise the Listen In podcast. That's right, Listen In, the podcast. We're talking sports, we're talking news, we're talking topical things, we're talking all sorts of things, my babies, and you are all invited to listen in right here on the Gear Radio Network.
We're back here, TTRP, Turnbuckle Talk Radio podcast, brought to you by Gear Network, and of course, GearNetwork.com. Visit GearNetwork.com for all the great content from Gear Network, tons of deals with our sponsors, and much, much more. We're talking Wrestle Kingdom from New Japan Pro Wrestling as we get into Wrestle Kingdom Night 2, and Night 2 started off amazing because you had the newly crowned New Japan Pro Wrestling light heavyweight champion in Takahashi teaming with a rival, so to speak, against two other rivals in Jushin Thunder Liger and Sato.
Yes, and this was one hell of a way to start off because for a lot of people, their knowledge of Jushin Thunder, the Monday Night Wars, clearly that was when I was introduced to him. Flying Brian Pillman and him had phenomenal matches. And then, of course, the Cruiserweight division was built on the shoulders of guys like Jushin Thunder Liger, Rey Mysterio Jr., Chris Jericho.
Yep.
And, that was a showcase for him. And then he continued, obviously, after the falling of WCW up back in Japan, because he never really ever left, because WCW gave them the freedom to be able to go and do Japanese tour.
Yep.
And for me to start out the show on night 2 with the last match of Jushin Thunder Liger, possibly one of the greatest cruiserweights and greatest masked wrestlers to come out of Japan, a guy who influenced so many, and a guy who, not just in Japan, but the stateside professional wrestlers were commenting on Twitter and whatnot. You got to remember, a few years back, Tyler Breeze had an opening match at TakeOver against Jushin Thunder Liger.
Yep.
And that was Liger's only WWE match.
In his 31-year career.
In his 31-year career, he worked one person in a WWE ring, and that was Tyler Breeze at NXT TakeOver, and it was a freaking great match, phenomenal match. And Jushin Thunder Liger gave you everything. It was essentially, and I'm not trying to degrade Jushin Thunder Liger by saying this. There have been a lot of bands in recent years that have put on farewell tours.
Oh, yeah.
Leonard Skinner, Slayer, Motley Crue, even though Motley Crue's going back on tour, but Motley Crue did a farewell tour a couple years ago.
Yep.
Elton John has just done a farewell tour. Whenever an artist does a farewell tour, they go out there and they give you the greatest hits plus some. Jushin Thunder Liger with Takahashi starting off and Dragon Lee starting off, he busted out the greatest hits on both of them. And not only that, but the best part about that, that match was the beginning was all Liger. It was a showcase for Liger to go out there and for one more time for his fans, give them everything that they have come to expect and come to love out of Jushin Thunder Liger. And I'm not going to lie, by the end of it, I was teary-eyed. And the commentating team talked about it. We all knew earlier this past year when it was announced that Jushin Thunder Liger was retiring. It was announced at the beginning of the year. Yeah. So you had almost a full year. I mean, we knew he was retiring when people went to the G1 Supercard. Yeah. At the Garden. You had the great Muda, Minoru Suzuki, and Jushin Thunder Liger standing in the ring together. And King Haku. So 4 iconic legends of wrestling. You knew Liger's time was coming.
Oh, absolutely.
So to see Jushin Thunder Liger get pinned in his last match to start off the historic second night of Wrestle Kingdom 14.
Yeah, and also kind of allowing the passing of the torch, so to speak, for the light heavyweight division to Takahashi.
Yes. And one of the things that I loved when it was all over with is he said that, he started his career 31 years ago.
Yep.
As a pro wrestler, and 31 years later in the Tokyo Dome, he was done being a professional wrestler. He thanked the fans, and as he was leaving, people were wearing, and I want to get my hands on one, so if anyone knows where I can get my hands on one of these Jushin Thunder Liger winter hats that they had.
Yes.
If anyone can point me in the direction of getting one of those, please fucking send Pat G or me a link so I can snag one. I don't care how much they are, because he was walking up to the fans that were wearing the headgear and he was giving them a hug and an embrace, because for 31 years Jushin Thunder Liger has given them all, and they reciprocated in kind.
Yep.
At his last match.
Yep, absolutely. And then up next, after you had that, you had the junior tag team championships and the Rev Pro British Championship with Zack Sabre Jr. and versus Sonata, and the continuation war of that, because you also had Suzuki Gun versus LIJ at the beginning of the night for in the open weight trios match, and then built up to Jon Moxley and Juice Robinson in the U.S. title match. And props to Kevin Kelly, because while New Japan doesn't really talk about WWE exactly straight out or anything, Kevin Kelly was bringing up the fact that Moxley and Juice Robinson have a history from Florida, and Robinson wasn't getting his due, and so he left and whatnot, and that's how they know each other, and they're aware of what the other can do. And on top of that, Jon Moxley just looks so much more comfortable in New Japan than anything.
And to just talk about how they did this and this storyline. This was the rubber match.
Yes.
Okay. The first match Jon Moxley had in New Japan Pro Wrestling, he defeated Juice Robinson and won the New Japan United States Championship his first night with the company. Bam. Then, unfortunately, due to the typhoon, he was unable to defend his title, so they took it off of him. They put Archer in his place. Archer walks out champion. Jon Moxley in November is like, nah, bitch, that's my belt. I'm coming at Wrestle Kingdom. I want my title. Night prior to this match, he wins the title. throws it out to Juice Robinson. I want the rubber match. I can beat you, bitch.
Yeah, especially because that second match was during the G1, and Juice Robinson essentially ended Moxley's run.
Yeah, and you then look at it, and they were 1-1. So you had to have the rubber match. Why not end this feud at Wrestle Kingdom for the United States Championship? There were some naysayers who would say, oh, well, Moxley's going to lose the belt because he's AEW and they're doing an angle with him and they're not going to let their AEW star jump back and forth to Japan. Well, guess what? In professional wrestling, there's a lot of shit that goes on. And guess what happens? Boom. Jon Moxley beats Juice Robinson in one hell of a match. And in fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the two stars of Wrestle Kingdom were, one was Naito, and we'll get to that later.
Yep.
But Jon Moxley put out two performances in 2 nights that solidified that the Dean Ambrose character is gone.
Yep.
Say goodbye to it. They're not even acknowledging his name whenever they play a Shield package. He's gone. He's ghost. They don't give a shit about him.
Yep.
He's the third wheel that they never are going to mention again. Guess what? I'd rather see Jon Moxley. And then as a fan, okay, so we have Jon Moxley just beat Juice Robinson. The world is happy, right? Nah, because a very chilling song plays in the Tokyo Dome.
And this is when the internet, aka Twitter, lost its proverbial mind.
Out comes one, Minoru Suzuki. And Suzuki just walks out in his tracksuit and he starts taking it off, and you see that Suzuki is ready. He's ready to whoop someone's ass.
He's ready to fight.
And Minoru walks out there and he just stands in front of Moxley. Moxley says, okay, let's do this. They start exchanging blows. The referee starts ringing the bell because it's an unsanctioned match. Choke out, lets him go. Moxley's asleep.
Yeah, choked him out and planted him with the gotch, and Moxley's just out cold.
And the best part about this is Moxley said when he wanted to come to Japan that Suzuki was one of the guys that he wanted to face. And there was some contract disputes that were going on with Suzuki because a lot of people felt that, obviously it was no secret that he was not happy with some of the things, and Minoru stayed. And I would like to believe that he stayed because there's money in a Moxley Suzuki.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with Moxley's history of that extreme CZW style.
Exactly. And I mean, I don't care where they book this match. I will be watching it because, I mean, they did it. They did a tease for it the next night on New Year Dash on January 6th.
Yep, where Moxley got his spot back.
Exactly. So it's like he left Japan with his heat. So now the ball's in New Japan's court to bring him back. I can't wait for this match. But then, unfortunately, we have to talk about the next star. Because last year, when we discussed last year, 2019, Kenta kind of got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
I hate to say this about Kenta. Phenomenal wrestler, one of the best, pound for pound, but he kind of got lost in the shuffle in NXT and WWE due to his repeat injuries. He comes to New Japan, member of the Bullet Club, kind of gets lost in the shuffle, and then two nights in a row, loses at Wrestle Kingdom. He lost twice. So, in leading up to what was going to be the last 3 matches of the night, it was kind of weird to see that Kenta was good matches. The outcomes just weren't what I thought, and it was almost as though, like, is Kenta going to get lost in the shuffle of this new Bullet Club in New Japan? kind of like he did with NXT. It was kind of a good match, kind of disappointing to not see him walk out with championship gold, but these things happen. And then that led into Jay White versus Kota Ibushi. The two losers of the double gold dash faced each other in another great match where Jay White proved just how goddamn good Jay White is.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the thing, is Jay White had an amazing year in New Japan Pro Wrestling for 2018 and 2019 and everything. Winning the title, being the champion, and so on and so forth. And what's solid about that is the only thing I didn't like about White and Ibushi is when Jay White's a heel, plain and simple. We understand that. And he's going to do heel things. But if you've been watching Jay White matches like I have been for the last 2-3 years, it's the same thing every match. Like, he doesn't... Like, as good as Jay White is with his offense and everything, he does the same heel tactics every time. Doesn't matter who the opponent is. And it's you want to disagree with it, you can disagree with it, fine. But, like, it's the same stuff. It's the rough bumps and the chair shots and the low blows and all that other heel shit that you do as a heel. But it's, like, every match that he has almost.
There's no argument there.
And to me, I felt like it took away from the match a little bit. Mm-hmm. But it does, or it takes away from his abilities, because it makes the matches feel all the same and whatnot.
Now, do you feel that it was kind of weird to have Ibushi, who was pretty much, going into his match with Okada, as it was kind of like two heels going against each other?
Yeah, it was. And I
didn't see either one of them die.
Yeah.
You know what? Figuratively die.
Yeah. Like, that's what it felt like. It felt like it was the two heels facing each other. I will say this. Ibushi was getting the quote-unquote face pop or everything, especially when he was doing his, like, just straight-up, like, psycho killer face gimmick and just no-selling everything.
Yeah.
Like, the crowd was popping hard for that.
Which they didn't the night prior until, of course, it became more of, people are going to boo you if you're trying to hurt Okada. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Universal, I'm sorry. At this point, they're going to boo your ass.
Yeah.
But then we get into a match with some serious implications, bro. Serious implications. Did you think the Forbidden Portal was going to be open?
Oh, when Chris Jericho cut the promo for the saying if Tanahashi beat him, he would get an AEW championship shot and open the Forbidden Portal and all that. I kind of was at a 60-40 split or whatever, because the Painmaker, not the Omega, not the Alpha, that the two characters that Chris Jericho has portrayed in New Japan Pro Wrestling. The Painmaker has yet to lose, I believe. Would I have liked to see Tanahashi win this and open that portal? Yeah, absolutely. Did I think it was going to happen? No, because it's still one of the things is New Japan Pro Wrestling and the powers that be at New Japan, they still have a little bit of a sour taste due to some people.
Yeah, okay, so I honestly did. I thought that maybe this was their olive branch stretch. They were sending Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley over there. They were going to do some good business. Jon Moxley clearly did some great business in New Japan that weekend. I thought Chris Jericho has enough clout and enough respect that they would at least say, okay, let's give Jericho this opportunity. You know what I mean? So first off, I'm just going to say, and it's not because I'm a Chris Jericho fan, but this was my match of the night. This was my match of the night based on the story that was told in the ring.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The two performers that were involved in it. Tanahashi is an amazing talent. Of course, another classic Chris Jericho entrance, coming out to Judas as the Painmaker. He went into this match he's in great shape for being almost 53 years old. There's some people that are out there that are kind of body shaming him and said maybe he looked a little fat. No, he looked thick. He's got a 52-year-old fighter's body. He's thick.
He's Chris Jericho is not fat. Chris Jericho he's 52 years old. He's constantly on the road in a rock band. He's training because he does wrestle. He's got a thick, stocky build because this is the thing. Chris Jericho's not a big guy. Chris Jericho's never been a big guy.
Nope. And the funny part about it is, it's like at 52 years old, no one was body shaming Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho, if you stood next to Chris Jericho, he looks like a jacked 50-year-old dude. He still is in phenomenal shape.
Oh, absolutely.
He's flying around the ring like fucking cruiserweight still.
Yep, so he still can hit his greatest hits and everything and whatnot.
So anyone who wants to body shame Chris Jericho, hey, a second swear of the night. Hey, fuckface, why don't you go sell out the Tokyo Dome?
Yeah.
Try that. Whatever.
And the thing is this match, it was carefully crafted and everything. It worked to Jericho's strengths. It worked to Tanahashi's strengths. It had some of the smoke and mirrors because Tanahashi knows how to tell a great in-ring story. Mm-hmm. And Jericho at this point of his career is the wrestler that you expect him to be at this point and stage, with some of the flashes of the younger self pulled in when he pulls out the lion salt or the walls of Jericho and whatnot, like he did, because he's got, or the lion tamer, because he has Tanahashi in the walls of Jericho and then transition into the lion tamer to make Tanahashi tap.
Yep, which they even said it on commentary. You do not see Tanahashi tap out very often. And they also stressed the fact that he tapped out to the Lion Tamer, the double Boston Crab, which is a move that they show the young lions in the dojo.
Yep.
So they kept alluding to the importance of Chris Jericho not only wrestling Tanahashi on a traditional professional wrestling level, which Chris Jericho is able to do. He's a great technical wrestler, but also that Bruiser Brody brawling style that we have seen from Chris Jericho ever since Alpha versus Omega 2 years ago.
Yep.
Chris Jericho, when you see him in a ring in Japan, it's craziness. It's unpredictability. And, it's rock star bravado. Tanahashi is glam metal bravado. He comes out to the Go Ace, and the electric guitar just shredding and the keyboard playing in the background, and he comes out with his hair all flared out, and, these elaborate neon outfits. It's so cool to see this dream match happen. And the best part about this match was actually the post-fight interview where Chris Jericho's like, I want to wrestle Tanahashi again. I want to wrestle Okada again.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to do it in AEW because I think there's business to be made. He even said it. I haven't been in this business for 30 years and not known what good business sense is.
Exactly.
So do I think the Forbidden Portal will eventually be opened by the right pro wrestler? 1,000%.
Oh, absolutely. Plain and simple. And there's been multiple, and Cody just came out today and said that he's open to a New Japan Pro Wrestling AEW relationship. And that's the thing. It's now to the sense of WWE is WWE, plain and simple. They're building their own brands. They're trying to build their own stars and everything. WWE doesn't need a crossover with anybody. They're their own entity. AEW, while they are an up and coming company, and they're doing well. They're doing well for themselves. If you open up that portal and have that relationship with New Japan, and you're able to get a Naito or an Okada or a Tanahashi or a Takahashi or a Kenta on an All Out or one of your other pay-per-views that you're running throughout the year, that's one, you're going to get the Japanese audience on your product. And then on top of that, that Japanese audience is going to see who you have, and they're going to go, oh, they have Omega, they have the Young Bucks, we remember them. Then you're going to start getting that market. Because before we get into the main event, the story broke today that there's reports, not saying, and unfortunately from the reports, it's Dave Metzler, so I take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
That New Japan, that Stardom is waiting for the contracts to expire for Kairi Sane and, what's her face from NXT? Io Shirai.
Okay.
And willing to offer them lots of money because Stardom wants to build themselves up, and to build yourself up, you need big stars. Shirai and Sane are very popular in Japan still. So, and there's the talk of Shirai's not really happy with her quote-unquote run in WWE NXT.
Right.
So, but when they signed for 3 years, so it's one of the things is, I think, it said Sane's deal's not up. She signed in like March of 2017, and Shirai signed like September of 2018 or whatever. So it's stuff, but the reports are out there that Stardom's willing to throw a lot of money at them. But the thing is getting back to the thing is, New Japan, if you have that Japanese audience and they see people that they recognize from New Japan, a Young Bucks or Kenny Omega, they're going to flock to that product. And it's just going to make your product better.
I know I would. To me, okay, New Japan had business with WCW.
Yep.
And Jericho is absolutely right. There is money to be made in this crossover appeal, you know what I mean? And do it. Make money on it. Like, I'm sorry, I definitely do feel that, let's see Okada show up and challenge someone like Jon Moxley at AEW. Why not? Why not have it at an All Out? All Out seems to be the one night of the year where anything can happen, right? I mean, what if Naito faces Jericho at All Out in Chicago?
Yep.
Why not do something like that? It's good business sense. It gets more eyes on both products. It's not like they're both dying companies.
No, not at all.
They're both thriving companies that are drawing numbers. They're not competition to WWE. They're the alternative to WWE. Why not provide a different type of avenue for fans to see it? Especially after the main event of Wrestle Kingdom Night 2.
Yep. The IWGP Intercontinental Champion Naito taking on the World Heavyweight Champion in Okada. Both belts on the line, and just... This match was 36 minutes of pure breath, mind-blowing everything. Plain and simple. Like, it was the thing of Okada seeing what Jay White had done the night before, taking advantage of it, attacking Naito's knee. Not really doing the typical Okada match. Like, Okada straight focused on the knees.
Not only did he focus on the knees, but, and shout out to my Necrocasticon partner, Walt Ball, he became a dick.
Yeah, he did.
He became a dick during that. It was almost as though the confident champion who was the face of the company
and has always been cheered, wasn't getting cheered.
Yeah. He was, I think, okay, at this point, once again, going back to our awesome commentary team, they had painted Naito in such a positive light that you desperately want. Me and Carol were texting, and I was joking with her the night before that, like, if we get Okada versus Naito too, like, you're a Naito fan, I'm an Okada fan, like, sorry, I thought Okada should come out with the title, both belts, because he's going to be carrying the Olympic torch for the Tokyo 2020 Summer Games. I thought that Kazuchika Okada would be the face walking out of this match. And there was still a part of me that was like, please let Naito win. Please let him win, because this is the perfect end to the story that has been going on for the last, 4.5 years with Naito.
Yep.
And God damn it, if it wasn't a beautiful end to that chapter of that story and that part of Tetsuya Naito's career.
Oh, absolutely. And then you get the moment where he hits the Destino, and the counters of the Okada looking for the Rainmaker, Naito looking for the Destino, the back and forth and everything, and then finally Naito gets the Destino, and you have the victory and everything. And then, as Okada's helped to the back, Naito's on the mic, and he says, Okada, we need to do it again. Okada raises his fist to him, so on. Naito's presented with the championships, lays him down, poses. Fans are going crazy. And then him basically expunging the ghosts of Wrestle Kingdom past. And then, all of a sudden, the man that maybe had a little bit left of likeness from the New Japan Pro Wrestling crowd, because of his past history and Noah and everything, attacks. And Kenta comes out of nowhere, hits the PK, hits the go to sleep, celebrates, leaving Naito laying on the mat, on his back, and sitting...
You're being generous right now. Okay, Kenta teabagged...
Yes, I was getting to that.
He teabagged him.
I was getting to that. I was trying to be...
I'll let you get back to it.
Yeah, he basically... He beat the crap out of... He hit his moves, and... took the belts and laid them there, and then teabagged the new double champion. Plain and simple. And sat there for pictures.
Okay, if you haven't seen Happy Kenta teabagging Naito with both belts in his hand, you need to go to New Japan's Instagram page.
Yes.
Scroll back and dude, he looked so happy with his balls resting on Naito's chin. I haven't seen someone with their balls resting on someone's chin so happy since Bill Clinton was in office. Okay, that man was just gleaming because he knew that the end of that was one of the, like, it was Naito's achieving moment, and he robbed him of it.
Yep.
And I got physically angry watching Kenta do that.
Oh, everyone got physically angry. Me, I'm a fan. I've always been a fan of Kenta. I loved it. I was like, this is great because it's Kenta, plain and simply trying to reestablish that he's the alpha dog in Japan. Yes, he left, he didn't have a good time, but he's like, listen, I'm the guy that built this shit.
Yes. I mean, and we alluded to it earlier, you know, I mean, they didn't have a good go of the Kenta NXT experiment. First off, he wasn't even Kenta in NXT.
No, he was Hideo Itami.
Yeah, I refer to him as Kenta because that's how I'm going to refer to him. If you don't like it, see my previous Jon Moxley rants. To me, Kenta didn't have a good run in NXT or WWE 205 Live. I think it was a failed experiment. I think that there were other stars in NXT during his time, Finn Balor being one of them, Kevin Owens being another, that really overshadowed Kenta.
Not to mention the injury problems.
And the injury problems, you know, that I alluded to earlier. I mean, he jacked up his shoulder several times, so it was like, you know, start-stop. We've talked about Samoa Joe having the same kind of issues. Great NXT run, comes to the main roster, start-stop. You know, granted, he's Samoa Joe, so he's able to land on his feet, and they find something for him. Not so much with Kenta. Kenta, his contract is up. He goes back to Japan, you know, and I think we could see a reinvigorated Kenta going into 2020. I think we definitely will see potential for maybe another, you know, G1 Supercard match where it's main event Naito versus Kenta for the double belts.
Well,
you know,
well, based on the events of New Year Dash and post and conferences after the fact, come February, Kenta's facing Naito for both titles.
Well, there you go. They are quick to get that story going.
Naito's not happy with it because he feels that Okada, Ibushi, and Jay White should be 1, 2, and 3, and he doesn't want to defend both titles at the same time and everything, whatnot. But yeah, it was. I read, I think yesterday. The event in February, it's going to be Kenta versus Naito for both championships.
Well, then I would like to say that I'm pleasantly happy that this is going to be a good year for Kenta, already getting this level of opportunity in 2020. And all in all, if I were to grade Wrestle Kingdom nights 1 and 2, night 2 I think it was a better night. I think that match of the overall event, I would say, went to Naito and Jay White the night prior.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho and Tanahashi would be second overall, followed by Jon Moxley. Just both matches of Jon Moxley, if you want my honest opinion. Which begs the question: does WWE replicate the 2-night extravaganza style for WrestleMania?
Well, a lot that seemed to be one of the talking points on Twitter, in the Twitterverse, during Wrestle Kingdom and after Wrestle Kingdom, is due to the fact that WWE has WrestleMania, and WrestleMania now is essentially an 8-hour show. Plain and simple. It starts at 5:00 and doesn't end between anywhere between midnight and 1 a.m. Would it benefit WWE to split WrestleMania into 2 nights? Truthfully and honestly, yes, it would, because this way I'm not saying copy the exact thing that New Japan did or everything, but this way it gives you can have night 1 be the main event be for the WWE Championship, night 2 being the Universal Championship. You can have your title split up between the 2 nights, and it allows you to also build more storylines for people that can culminate at WrestleMania.
You know, I'm 100% going to stand behind your decision on this. I think that if you look at 2 examples of WrestleMania in the last couple years, example number 1, AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura, and example number 2 was last year's main event, the triple threat for the winner-take-all, Ronda Rousey versus the man Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. That match did not happen until after midnight the next day. So WrestleMania started on one day.
It started on Sunday and did not end until Monday.
Till Monday. Okay?
And then not to mention all the travel issues for that WrestleMania that happened after the fact because of WrestleMania ending at 12:35-ish in the morning, 12:40-ish or whatever it was, that all the subways and buses had finished their routes.
Yep, they were done. So you had fans stuck at MetLife Stadium, not able to leave, not able to get transport out
people,
of there.
People were stuck at MetLife Stadium until 5, 6, 7 in the morning because of trying to get rides. Uber and Lyft were charging out the ass because they could. And you had people just said the hell with it and started walking and getting as far as they could.
And then you have, and that was a logistics issue right there. Then you have a drainage issue. The drainage issue being, go back and watch AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura from New Orleans. Shinsuke Nakamura was the Royal Rumble winner that year.
Yep.
And AJ Styles was the WWE champion.
Yep.
Oh, okay. If you re-examine that particular match, it's a dead crowd.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, because it was... What was the match before? What was the match before that?
So the show started up with the triple threat Intercontinental Championship.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Okay, then was Asuka versus Charlotte, which was match of the night. Not even arguably, which was match of the night. Undertaker versus John Cena. Okay, you had all of this stuff going on that by the time you got to one of the featured matches, the match that they really build as being, once in a lifetime here in WWE, which was a Wrestle Kingdom main event a couple years prior. That was one of New Japan's best matches of all time. They basically replicated a similar match, and it fell flat.
Yeah, that
crowd dead.
Okay, yeah. Now I was like, I couldn't remember because you also, even before that, because this is WrestleMania 34, so you had the Battle Royal and the Cruiserweight Championship in the pre-show, as well as the Women's Battle Royal.
Yes.
As you mentioned, the Triple Threat IC match, Charlotte versus Asuka. You had the Fatal 4-Way for the U.S. title, which was a solid match for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You had Ronda Rousey's debut. Yeah, you had Kurt Angle and Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie,
which was a great match.
Which was match of the night.
Yep.
Then you had the Triple Threat Tag Title, the Bludgeon Brothers, the Usos and New Day, Undertaker and Cena, Daniel Bryan, Shane McMahon versus Owens and Sami Zayn, and then Nia Jackson versus Alexa Bliss. And then you had AJ Styles versus Nakamura, which was the third match before the show ended.
So, it was so much that you could have done that I think if WWE decided that they were going to split the format, especially with the amount of championships that they have, they could cross-pollinate. You could do the women's battle royal one night,
the men's battle royal the next, the Raw women's champion one night, the SmackDown women's champion another night.
Yep. I mean, I wouldn't say try and turn it into a Raw WrestleMania and a SmackDown WrestleMania and see which one's better, because now NXT is a third brand.
Because I look at it this way: if WrestleMania is going to do 2 nights, okay, this would be my perfect 2-night WrestleMania breakdown. The main events of both cards. Your heavyweight championships. Don't care. And end of day, your heavyweight championships are the last match. Done. Simple. One night is the world heavyweight. Night 1's the WWE championship. Night 2 is the Universal. From there, because the WWE championship right now is on Raw. Okay? The Universal championship's on SmackDown. Okay. That's how you do it. Whatever main championship is closing the show, the other championships are on the show. So if you have the Raw Championship, which is the WWE Championship, closing night 1, all your other title matches are there's 2 from SmackDown and 1 from NXT. Night 2, there's 2 from Raw, 1 from NXT.
Yeah.
And then because the tag titles you could put on either night. Okay? Night 1 you have the SmackDown, night 2 you have the Raw, or you put the NXT ones on the pre-show because we all know the NXT tag team division can go. Same thing with the Cruiserweight. You can put the Cruiserweight on the pre-show. I'm fine with that. It's the thing of finding the balance.
Which they 100% can do, and I think they will do. I think that by doing this, that gives them an opportunity to see what, first off, can this formula work? Let's see if this company is able to do it. And although they admitted the attendance on the first night was more than on the second night, I think the first night was 45.
First night was just over 40,000. Night 2 was like 30,000. It was just over 70,000 and some change of people between both nights.
But with WrestleMania, you buy a package deal anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So you buy the package deal, you get the tickets. I mean, you go for both nights, especially considering that there's so much. It's like, I've said it myself, I want to see that match, but really I'm not great on this one, because WrestleMania should be like the matches the dream matches that you never thought you'd see.
Yeah.
Well, now you can see those like the next pay-per-view. So there are some where I'd be like, dude, I would love to see fill in the blank versus fill in the blank. Well, now you can kind of pick and choose which night you wanted to see.
Yeah, exactly. And then on top of it, you could even if you go to WrestleMania 2 nights, okay, well, here's your setup. Thursday night, you do the Hall of Fame. Plain and simple. Done. And you cut it down. You don't do a Hall of Fame for 5 hours. 3 hours at best. Tops. From 8 to 11, done. Friday night, you do NXT TakeOver. You do 8 to 10, 8 to 11, whatever. Done. Saturday, you have Saturday WrestleMania day 1. You start that at, say, 4 o'clock. You're done by 8. Or you start at 5. You start at 5 and 6, and you're done by 10. Okay? WrestleMania day 2, you start at 5, like normal, and you end at 11, because guaranteed WrestleMania 2 is going to have those dream matches.
Which they should, especially considering that, there are always big things that could happen. You always have big celebrities. You have reports of someone like, Edge is backstage at wrestling, WWE events. Oh, well, if Edge makes a match, why not have Edge versus insert wrestler here on one of those nights? And like CM Punk, if he ever returns, versus insert wrestler here on the second night. You know what I mean? Or the long talked about Sting versus Undertaker match, which, they were gonna tease at SmackDown on Fox for the first episode in October. There's a plethora of things that you could do and switch and mix and match. I mean, if you think about it, the dream match everyone wanted was not, Naito versus Okada, and we got that on night 2, and we still got to see them night 1 and night 2, on night 1.
Yep.
So, to me, it makes perfect business sense. If WWE wants to run this kind of model, let them do it, because I would rather watch 2 nights of really great wrestling and be 100% enthralled in it than start the show kind of hyped and just be like looking at my watch like, okay, dude, it's 12:15. I still have to drive an hour home.
Yeah, exactly. Where, like I said, where if you have night 1, you start at, say, 4 or 5, or 5 and 6, and you're done by 10 and 11, people can still get home and whatnot, get back to their hotel rooms, go out and grab a bite to eat or whatever. And then you have that night 2 WrestleMania. You start that at 5, and you're done and you go till 11. It's the same thing. That way, you don't have the problems that you had from the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. If anyone is listening, because they steal our ideas anyway, steal this idea.
Go right ahead. At this point, I've pretty much accepted that someone from WWE or other wrestling places have been listening to this podcast and have stolen ideas, because it's been happening for years. I'm just waiting for my 5%.
I want my Bray Wyatt belt money.
Yeah, the Bray Wyatt belt money. That next thing you know, you wake up in a couple weeks. There's a package delivered. It's a Bray Wyatt championship.
They're gonna be like, "We're sorry." I'm gonna be like, "We're good. We're good now.
We are perfectly fine. We are perfectly fine." All right. I know we're going a little long, but we had a lot to talk about from New Japan. We're gonna finish up the show here over the next 10 minutes with some WWE talk, and of course the big thing of Brock Lesnar coming into Raw to start 2020 and saying that he's entering the Royal Rumble at number 1.
It's an interesting strategy. I hope it works out for him. Are they thinking of melding the belts? Like, is he going to challenge the Fiend, or is this his way of solidifying that no one's going to challenge him for a belt?
I think it's a way of solidifying no one's going to challenge him for the belt, but it's been reported through a couple of places online that this is the way to set up Brock Lesnar's WrestleMania opponent. Shout out to Bully Ray and Busted Open Radio. Bully Ray had a very interesting idea. Is Lesnar standing there? He's gone through all 28 people, whatever, and number 30 hits, and the music of CM Punk hits, and
slow down. I can only get so hard.
And the music of CM Punk hits, and Paul Heyman, who is the master manipulator and strategist and can see things before they happen and everything, and now has this problem of he didn't see this coming, and now his two biggest successes in WWE are now face to face in the ring, and he's talking about how you have it, and Lesnar and Punk are face to face, nose to nose, so to speak, and in that hard cam shot, and in the middle is Paul Heyman with like that Kevin McAllister Home Alone, like oh my god reaction. And then Punk eliminates Lesnar, and now you have your WrestleMania match, and Punk has his main event. Not saying that it'll happen, because Punk has been very adamant about him not returning to wrestling.
He in his interview with WWE backstage, he did say that there are a lot of bridges that would have to be crossed,
yes,
in order to see a WWE return, and he is 40 years old, so he's well aware of his limited time. Who knows the damages that his last UFC fight did to him? I mean, he was pretty messed up.
Not to mention he hasn't wrestled in a few years, so he'd have to get back into ring shape and everything.
Which, when you're going against someone at the caliber of Brock Lesnar, even though Brock Lesnar wrestles a very limited schedule,
Brock Lesnar is still a truck.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar is still Brock Lesnar. A gorilla is still a gorilla. Just because it sits there and eats, bamboo for 12 hours out of its day doesn't mean it's not going to knock the shit out of you.
Yeah.
But I look at that scenario. I think that's a really good scenario. I really do. I'm going to throw a curveball at you on who I would like to see Brock Lesnar face at WrestleMania this year.
Okay.
Drew McIntyre.
See, you know what? Honestly, with the way they're built, with the way McIntyre is being built right now, and he's still Drew McIntyre, but he's kind of trying to get the crowd behind him.
People like to see Drew McIntyre beat the shit out of people.
Oh, yeah.
People liked seeing Drew McIntyre beat the shit out of people a couple years ago when he came back. People like Drew McIntyre, and the crowd is reacting to Drew McIntyre, which is a big thing. Plus, it would be a really big athletic guy versus a super freak of nature.
Yep. And it honestly, and McIntyre is still young enough to where we all know Lesnar does business, okay? As much as the reports won't say Lesnar doesn't do, no, Lesnar knows what the business needs, especially with the fact that he's best friends with one of the smartest minds of pro wrestling has ever seen in Paul Heyman.
Yes.
Lesnar could go into the Royal Rumble and go through, get eliminated, and McIntyre be the guy that eliminates him and sets up the Mania match. Lesnar would be the guy that'd be like, you know what? I don't need to be the Beast anymore.
No.
And he would put McIntyre over, and it would give the Raw brand and WWE a big tough SOB that is hard to beat, but is young enough that can go in the ring with younger guys of different talents and back styles, because you've seen it when McIntyre had the thing against Cedric Alexander. He can work that style.
And you also have to look at McIntyre as he went down to NXT when he came back to WWE.
Yep.
And he did an interview on Edge and Christian's podcast where he was like, they're hungry down there. And the guys on main roster better realize it, because I'm down here and they're hungry. And he won the NXT championship, and he openly stated these kids are hungry. So he's got that little bit of a flair to it. His promo work is really good, and he's a big dude that can move. And you've got him in a spot where it would be believable for me for a Claymore kick or 2 or 3 to put down Brock Lesnar.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The Future Shock, and I love the fact that he's using the Future Shock DDT again.
Yes.
Like, the fact that the Future Shock DDT is now, like, the setup for the Claymore kick is amazing, because imagine a WrestleMania match where he hits the Future Shock, hits a Claymore, and then hits another Claymore to put Lesnar down.
Yeah. And it's one of those believable thoughts where I can look at him and think, on paper, Drew McIntyre could throw Brock Lesnar around.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, it's cool that you and I both see different sides of this angle. Like, who could be the guy to eliminate Brock? And I think it would be cool that even if Drew McIntyre doesn't win the Royal Rumble, or even if he does win the Royal Rumble and it's by eliminating Brock Lesnar, setting up for a Mania match, you know, there's still another championship to worry about. We kind of already know who's going to end up facing Fiend at WrestleMania, so, you know
which from all reports all reports and purposes, it's going to be Roman Reigns. So
yeah, it's the superhero versus the supervillain.
Yeah.
Whatever. But for me,
unless they decide to throw a massive curveball.
Where's the Demon King?
Yeah. Basically, it's like,
But you know, the road to WrestleMania is definitely going to be a good one this year based on those matches.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and definitely, and based on the after effects of WWE backstage last night, that road gets a little bit more rocky.
Yeah, I mean,
based upon the comments that was spoken by the voice of the voiceless.
Can I just say that never in my life has blood money covered cock been so funny to say out loud.
Yeah.
Thanks, Punk.
I understand, like, when I saw it this morning, because I watched WWE backstage, because I love The Miz. I'm a fan of The Miz. I've always been a fan of The Miz for the last few years and whatnot, because of the work that he's done. But when they did the video and he's like, oh, I'm sorry I didn't change the culture and all that, and then I saw what Punk said, and I was like, all right, well, that's definitely something that Punk would say. But then when he, like, ended with you fucking dork, I was kind of like, I feel like he's joking, but he's also not joking at the same time.
Yeah, it's one of those deals because CM Punk has openly said that one of the things that made him hate WWE back in 2011 was when The Miz was main event at WrestleMania and he wasn't.
Yeah.
And, you know, CM Punk left, and over the last 6 years, The Miz has really developed as a talent to someone that you pay to see. So I'm sure that the comments that were made by CM Punk didn't fall on deaf ears by The Miz.
Oh, not at all.
There's a part of The Miz that's like, hey, you went and failed in mixed martial arts and comic book writing, and guess what? I've been here holding down the shop. So, you know.
Well, the Miz even said it last night in the interview. He's like, when he's like at home and watching NFL football on Sundays, and he sees like Fox doing the graphics for SmackDown, and it's Roman Reigns or it's somebody else, and it's not him. It lights a fire in him. He's like, I want to be the guy. I want to be the face. Like, the Miz is at the point of his career now that he wants to be the face of the WWE. And truth be told, if he was, I'd be perfectly fine with it, because the man puts in the work.
Yeah, and like, this is another thing that you have to take into consideration is its ripple effect of The Fiend, because ever since The Fiend faced The Miz's attitude went from relatively babyface to pretty dark pretty quick.
Yeah, and when Miz is heelish or heel Miz, he's at his best. Because I'm sorry, I've met Mike Mizanin, and I've met him I've met him 3 times in my life through various means. He's a cool dude. He's a very cool dude, but when he's a heel, that is Mike Mizanin's character just turned up to like 27.
Yeah, and it's honestly, I feel he's more comfortable as a heel. I enjoy his work as a heel more. And to me, I definitely look forward if they end up going with Miz versus CM Punk, which would be wild at WrestleMania. That would be a really good match.
It would be. It definitely would be. So, but we definitely will have to see what happens with the developments and everything. I will say this. I apologize for not taking a second break, because we took a break about a half an hour in, and then we've been going for an hour just because we've been talking. So for those that listen to the podcast, thank you for sticking around, because we've gone an hour and a half. But this is where we're going to cut it to an end before next thing you know, it's 2 hours in and Dan is loopy.
Thank you for dealing with me this week with my schedule change. I swear next week, guys, I'll plan ahead so that I get a few more minutes of sleep so that I can be even more juiced up for the podcast.
Oh, absolutely. But thank you for listening. For Dan, I'm Pat G. This has been the Turnbuckle Talk Radio podcast. Keep it locked. Check out GearNetwork.com, and we will see you on the flip side. Let this stop. The Turnbuckle Talk Radio podcast is brought to you by Gear Network and ShopGear.com. We can be listened to via Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and everywhere else you can get your podcasts. The TTRP introduction was done by Trevor Dugan. The show is hosted by Patrick Gancheski and Daniel Roberts. Post-production of the TTRP is done by Patrick Gancheski and John Cimino. If you'd like to follow us via social media, you can search Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast on Facebook. You can follow us at Twitter by using the name Turnbuckle_Talk. Or if you have questions or concerns, you can reach us via email at turnbuckletlkradio@gmail.com. We'd like to thank you for listening to the Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast, downloading our episodes, following us on social media, and interacting with us.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.